Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
Imagine this. The Golden Globes are buzzing, the cameras are rolling, and every Hollywood insider is waiting for the next viral moment. But no one expected this. Jokoy, hosting one of the biggest nights in entertainment, takes the stage, and within minutes, drops a joke that has Meghan Markle fans fuming and the internet losing its collective mind. People weren't just laughing, they were gasping. Some called it hilarious, others called it savage. But one thing's for sure, Jokoy didn't hold back. He set the tone for the night, dragging Meghan and Prince Harry right into the middle of a Hollywood storm, and he did it in front of millions. And here's the kicker, this wasn't just a random jab. Behind the laughter, there's a deeper story brewing. Why is Meghan Markle suddenly the punchline again? And why did Jokoy, of all people, decide to go there? And what does this moment reveal about where Hollywood really stands with the Sussex?
But all you want to do as parents is protect them. And so as we can see what's happening.
Buckle up, because this wasn't just comedy, this was calculated. And the fallout? It's bigger than you think. From the very start of the Golden Globes, the energy was electric.
That's right, you do. You win all the time. That's why when the Golden Globes called me and asked me if I wanted to host,
flashing lights, the constant murmurs, the anticipation, you could feel the tension building with every camera pan. Jokoy wasn't just walking into another awards show, he was stepping into a stage where every word had the potential to dominate headlines. And Meghan Markle, even though she wasn't physically present, her shadow loomed large. Between recent controversies, strained royal ties, and the never-ending online debates, her name was already heavy in the air before Joe even grabbed the mic. Hollywood loves drama, and Meghan has become its favorite muse. By the time Joe began warming up the crowd, it was clear this wasn't going to be the kind of safe, predictable monologue most hosts rely on. He was sharp, unpredictable, and ready to poke the bear, and the audience was strapped in for the ride. But no one could have guessed just how far he was about to push the joke. The crowd settled, cameras zoomed in, and Jokoy leaned into the mic with the kind of mischievous grin that only means one thing: someone's about to get roasted.
in 2025. Like seriously, I'm almost there. I love Oppenheimers.
His delivery was calm, almost casual, but every punchline landed like a spark hitting gasoline. When he dropped Meghan Markle's name, the room practically froze. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it. Sharp, deliberate, the kind of timing that forces the audience to decide in real time whether to laugh, gasp, or both. Some of his lines had people clutching their seats, others wiping tears of laughter from their eyes. You could almost feel the ripple effect moving from the front row to the balcony, shock, amusement, and just enough discomfort to make it unforgettable. But what made it wild wasn't just the jokes themselves, it was the reaction shots. The camera kept cutting to stars in the audience, some biting their lips to hide laughter, others looking like they wished they could disappear. It was Hollywood's favorite guilty pleasure, watching one of their own become the punchline. And just when everyone thought Joe would pull back, he doubled down. Just when it seemed like Joe might ease off, he did the opposite. He pushed harder, twisting the knife with back-to-back punchlines. His rhythm was relentless, the kind of set where every line feels like a setup for something even bolder. The Meghan Markle references got sharper, layered with that sly sarcasm only Jokoy can pull off. And yet the crowd was split, half roaring with laughter, half shifting uncomfortably in their seats. You could see it on their faces, this was risky territory, and everyone knew it. The cameras cut to celebrity reactions, and those shots told their own story. Some stars covered their mouths, trying to hide their grins. Others kept their expressions stone-cold neutral, clearly thinking, "Please don't pan the camera on me right now." A few looked outright stunned, as though Joe had said the one thing everyone else had been too afraid to touch. And yet, that's what made it unforgettable. He didn't hold back, and that unpredictability turned the moment into instant Golden Globes history. By the time Joe paused to take a sip of water, the room was buzzing. Laughter, whispers, and a quiet acknowledgement that everyone had just witnessed something they weren't going to stop talking about for weeks. If the Golden Globes crowd was buzzing, social media was absolutely on fire. Within minutes of Jokoy's monologue, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok exploded with clips, reactions, and divided opinions. Some viewers crowned him the hero of the night. They praised his boldness, saying he finally said out loud what so many were thinking. Memes popped up instantly, remixing his Meghan Markle punchlines into viral soundbites. Hashtags like Jokoy Unfiltered and Golden Globes Chaos started trending within the hour. But on the flip side, another wave of voices came just as strong, critics calling the jokes cheap shots and punching down. Meghan's supporters accused Joe of crossing a line, with some even demanding an apology. TikTok stitches broke down every facial reaction in the audience, frame by frame, debating whether Joe went too far or simply delivered the most honest set the Globes had seen in years. And then came the think pieces. And entertainment blogs and pop culture commentators flooded timelines with deep dives, some applauding Joe's refreshing honesty, while others warned it could backfire on his career. By the end of the night, the performance wasn't just comedy, it was a cultural debate. Here's where things got really interesting. While jokoy was busy making the room roar, insiders claim Meghan Markle wasn't exactly laughing. According to whispers from behind the scenes, Meghan's team was caught completely off guard. They allegedly expected a lighthearted night, maybe even a few playful jabs, but nothing as direct and biting as Joe's jokes. One source described the vibe in Meghan's camp as icy, suggesting her PR advisors immediately started damage control before the segment had even wrapped. Others claim Meghan herself stayed calm in public, but wasn't pleased privately. A few entertainment insiders allege she was shocked by how aggressively Joe leaned into her narrative, especially given how carefully she and Prince Harry have been managing their image since stepping back from royal duties. Meanwhile, Harry reportedly tried to lighten the mood, allegedly joking to their circle that at least they spelled our names right. But sources say Meghan wasn't having it. She's known for being strategic about public perception, and this blindsided her. Fans who were watching closely swear they spotted subtle signs too. Online sleuths slowed down backstage footage, pointing to Meghan's expressions and even her body language as proof she was less than thrilled. This part of the fallout deepened the divide online. Was jokoy just doing his job as a comedian, or did he cross a line by targeting someone whose reputation has already been under fire? Once jokoy's monologue aired, the ripple effects spread faster than wildfire across Hollywood. The reactions were split right down the middle. And honestly, that's what made the fallout so explosive. In the comedy world, many rallied behind Joe, calling his jokes classic award show roasting. Several stand-up comics tweeted things like, "If you're sitting front row at the Golden Globes, you're fair game, period." They defended Joe's sharp jabs as part of the culture, pointing out that Ricky Gervais, Amy Schumer, and Tina Fey have all gone way harder on celebrities in the past. Some even argued Joe's set felt tame compared to previous Globes monologues. And comedian quipped, "If Meghan Markle can handle jokoy, imagine her sitting through a Ricky Gervais set." Meanwhile, insiders close to the industry painted a very different picture. Some executives allegedly worried the jokes crossed an invisible line, fearing backlash from Meghan's loyal fan base, which is vocal, global, and quick to trend hashtags. One PR strategist told an entertainment outlet that taking shots at Meghan is a gamble. She's polarizing, and that means any joke about her gets amplified tenfold. Others within Hollywood whispered that Joe's sharpness might actually boost his career. Love him or hate him. Controversy equals headlines, and headlines equal bookings. Streaming platforms reportedly took note of the buzz, with insiders hinting that Joe may already have new offers on the table. On Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, jokoy's jokes trended within minutes. Memes flooded timelines. Clips of Meghan's rumored reaction went viral, and hashtags like Golden Globes Shade and jokoy Unfiltered started climbing. The fandom war reignited instantly. Meghan Sepp supporters accused Joe of punching down, while others applauded him for saying what they Sepp been thinking. One viral TikTok summed it up perfectly. Jokoy didn't Sepp just throw shade. He built Meghan Markle an entire tree. If you thought Meghan Markle was going to sit quietly while the internet dissected jokoy's jokes, think again. The Duchess's camp allegedly went into full-blown crisis mode within hours of the Golden Globes broadcast. Multiple entertainment insiders whispered that Meghan's PR team immediately began monitoring the narrative, scanning social media, tracking trending hashtags, and reaching out to select outlets to reframe the story. The goal? Keep Meghan out of the punchline spotlight and refocus public attention on her upcoming projects. One insider even claimed that Meghan's team had talking points ready for loyal reporters, phrases like tired narrative, misogyny disguised as comedy, and irrelevant noise from the Hollywood echo chamber. It's textbook reputation management. Control the tone before the tabloids write it for you. Interestingly, Meghan herself hasn't said a word. No statement, no Instagram post, nothing. But according to PR experts, that's exactly the point. Silence forces the public to speculate, which keeps her name trending without giving critics more fuel. One Hollywood brand strategist explained it perfectly. When you sit, Meghan Markle, your silence can be louder than any clapback. It turns critics into echo chambers while you control the bigger picture. Here's where things get tricky. Meghan's brand thrives on reinvention, from actress to royal to Hollywood power player. But every time controversy brews, there's a risk of being seen as too polarizing for the projects she's lining up. Insiders hinted that some streaming executives are watching closely. The higher Meghan trends, the more they'll weigh whether the attention is good buzz or bad baggage. It's a tightrope her team has been walking for years, and jokoy's jokes just made it wobblier. A few days after the ceremony, jokoy addressed the jokes in an interview with a late-night host, and he did it in classic jokoy style, part self-deprecating, part unapologetic. He laughed off the controversy, saying, "It's Seps the Golden Globes, man. I roast everybody. If you scepter trending, you scepter fair game." Fans loved it. Some called him fearless. Others accused him of punching down. But one thing was certain, jokoy wasn't backing away from the spotlight. Insiders claim jokoy's team was initially worried about the heat, especially given Meghan Markle's massive fan base. But instead of damage control, they doubled down. Social media clips of the joke were intentionally reposted on fan accounts, fueling debates across TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. The strategy worked. Jokoy's name dominated trending charts for days. One PR analyst put it bluntly, "Controversy sells, and jokoy just became the headline everyone couldn't stop scrolling past." Here's the twist, no one saw coming. What started as a potential PR nightmare may have actually boosted jokoy's career. Streaming platforms reportedly saw spikes in searches for his comedy specials, podcast hosts lined up interview requests, and ticket sales for his upcoming shows. They jumped significantly the week after the Golden Globes. For a comedian who thrives on pushing boundaries, this was the perfect storm. The louder the backlash, the bigger the stage he's now standing on. Whether you love her or can't stand her, Meghan Markle has become one of the most polarizing figures in modern celebrity culture. To some, she's a symbol of independence, someone who refused to play by the royal family's rules. To others, she's seen as overly controlling, opportunistic, and even calculated. Jokoy's joke didn't just land on Meghan personally, it landed on everything she represents. And Hollywood insiders noticed how divided the response was. Celebrities close to Meghan defended her behind the scenes, calling the joke lazy and out of bounds. But there were just as many quiet murmurs from others who thought jokoy said out loud what a lot of people in the industry have been whispering for years. Comedians have always had a strange power in Hollywood. They can cross lines others can't, hiding behind the shield of humor. Jokoy leaned into that role, and in doing so, he exposed a subtle tension. Meghan and Harry are used to controlling their narrative. But when you step into award season, you enter a stage where you're no longer untouchable. One industry analyst summed it up perfectly. The Globes aren't set about who you are, they center about who the room thinks you are, and Meghan learned it the hard way. While Hollywood debated respect versus roast, the public conversation exploded. Tabloids splashed Meghan's name across front pages. Fan wars erupted on Twitter. TikTok creators dissected the joke frame by frame, and memes, endless. But here's where it gets interesting. Meghan's camp stayed completely silent. No denials, no statements, no carefully worded PR rebuttals, and that silence allowed jokoy's version of events to dominate the narrative. At its core, this wasn't just about one joke, it was about control, who gets to tell the story, who shapes the narrative, and who owns the room. Jokoy took a shot at one of Hollywood's most carefully protected brands, and instead of hurting him, it amplified his voice. The Globes may have been one night, but the ripple effects are still being felt. And this moment, it revealed a shifting balance of power, where the public decides what sticks, not the palace, not the PR teams, and sometimes not even the stars themselves. Meghan Markle didn't release an official statement. No press release, no Instagram post, no cryptic podcast episodes hinting at the controversy. But make no mistake, insiders claim the silence was calculated, not casual. According to sources close to her circle, Meghan was furious but determined not to feed the fire. Her PR team allegedly advised her to let the internet burn itself out. But behind the scenes, there were whispers about her tightening control over upcoming appearances and projects, making sure no other surprises slipped through the cracks. And then there's Prince Harry. Multiple reports claim that Harry was deeply protective and angered by the dig at his wife. Some insiders even say the tension sparked heated conversations between Meghan's camp and certain Hollywood producers who allowed jokoy's script to go unchecked. One source put it bluntly, Harry Seps learned that America loves freedom of speech, but that doesn't mean he has to like it. While Meghan's team tried to contain the flames, Jokoy was enjoying the biggest visibility boost of his career. He didn't apologize. He didn't backtrack. Instead, his stand-up ticket sales reportedly skyrocketed, and he became the go-to guest for late-night talk shows who wanted the guy who roasted Meghan. And this is where the story flips. A joke meant to make a moment went viral, but instead, it reshaped the public's perception of both Jokoy and Meghan Markle. Perhaps the most fascinating ripple effect came from within Hollywood itself. Meghan and Harry have spent years cultivating their image as global icons, tightly managing interviews, partnerships, and press narratives. But Jokoy's unscripted shot proved something. Hollywood's love affair with Meghan isn't untouchable. Some A-list producers and studio execs reportedly started whispering concerns about her growing polarizing image. Brands that once lined up for collaborations began moving cautiously. Suddenly, the spotlight Meghan once controlled started to feel a little shared. Meghan Markle has always been polarizing, but after Jokoy's viral jab, it felt like the tide shifted in a way even her PR machine couldn't control. Social media exploded with think pieces, TikTok breakdowns, and endless Twitter threads debating one question: has Meghan lost her untouchable status in Hollywood? Fans defended her fiercely, but critics saw Jokoy's joke as symbolic, a pop culture permission slip to start openly mocking Meghan without backlash. Suddenly, tabloids weren't treading lightly anymore, and late-night shows slipped in sly one-liners they would have avoided months ago. Behind closed doors, the fallout was even more telling. Reports claim that some high-profile brands quietly reconsidered partnerships tied to Meghan and Harry. Hollywood loves a good redemption arc, but it hates unpredictability. And after the Golden Globes, Meghan started looking unpredictable. One PR insider allegedly put it this way: "For years, Meghan controlled the narrative. But when the jokes start landing, that control starts slipping." Prince Harry reportedly pushed for a new strategy, one that would pivot their brand back toward activism and humanitarian work, hoping to regain public goodwill. But even that approach faced resistance. Some audiences now question their motives, wondering if every interview, documentary, and podcast was part of a carefully orchestrated image campaign. For the first time since Megxit, the Sussexes' Hollywood strategy seemed vulnerable. And then there's Jokoy, the man who accidentally triggered this entire domino effect. In the weeks following the Golden Globes, his stand-up shows sold out in record time. Interview requests poured in. Comedy specials were fast-tracked. He'd made one joke, but unknowingly he became the guy who exposed a cultural shift. The moment when Meghan Markle went from being Hollywood's protected darling to fair game. And now, the real conversation isn't just about Meghan. It's about what this moment says about Hollywood's changing power dynamics. When a single joke can dent one of the most carefully crafted personal brands in the world, what does that mean for celebrities who live and breathe public perception? The Golden Globes weren't just a night of laughs. They became a defining pivot point.
Meghan's silence.
Jokoy's rise, Hollywood's subtle recalibration. And here's the kicker. Insiders believe this is only the beginning. What started as a Golden Globes punchline has snowballed into one of Hollywood's most revealing cultural shifts in years. Meghan Markle, once seemingly untouchable, now finds herself at the center of a public reckoning, and it all began with one unexpected moment on stage. Jokoy's joke wasn't just a jab, it was the spark that lit a much larger fire. Suddenly, the glossy walls surrounding Meghan's carefully managed image began to crack. The entertainment world started asking uncomfortable questions, and audiences who once rallied behind her began debating if the narrative they'd been fed was ever the full picture. Behind the curtains, the whispers are growing louder. PR teams are re-strategizing, brands are second-guessing, and Hollywood's elite are quietly watching to see how Meghan plays her next move. For a celebrity who's built an empire on image, this is no longer about perception, it's about survival. Some insiders claim Meghan's advisors are split. One side reportedly wants her to stay quiet and weather the storm. The other argues for full transparency, an unfiltered sit-down interview to reclaim control of the narrative. But here's the catch. Whichever path she chooses, the world will judge it. Ironically, the person who gained the most from this cultural moment is Jokoy himself. The comedian didn't just host the Golden Globes, he cemented his name in Hollywood history. He became the guy who dared to break the fourth wall and say what many were thinking but no one had said aloud. And audiences rewarded him. His specials are selling out, studios are circling. His star has never been brighter. But for Jokoy, this isn't just about laughs anymore, it's about influence. The entertainment world now sees him as someone who can move the cultural needle with a single line. So here we are, standing at a crossroads. Meghan Markle's future in Hollywood looks more fragile than ever, Jokoy's comedy career is skyrocketing, and Hollywood itself is quietly recalibrating what it means to be untouchable. But there's a bigger, deeper question underneath all of this. If a single joke can shake an empire, how real was that empire to begin with? That's why people can't stop talking about it. It's not just about Meghan or jokoy or even the Golden Globes. It's about power, perception, and how fast public loyalty can shift in a viral age. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think Meghan can recover from this? Or has jokoy's viral moment marked a permanent shift in her public image? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be going through them, and I want to see where you stand on this. And if you've been hooked on this saga as much as we have, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because the story isn't over. Trust me. The next chapter is coming, and you won't want to miss it.